Thank you. Now, as a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America, and this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened. Thank you.
Madam Chair, it is undeniable that Representative Omar has made what has been considered to be offensive anti-Semitic comments in the past. It is also undeniable that Representative Omar has apologized, learned, and been a reliable and productive member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And I've watched her work with her colleagues on both sides of the aisle. She cares about her country. She cares about our national security. She cares about diplomacy. Her perspective is invaluable to the House Foreign Affairs Committee. She's a refugee and the only African-born Muslim member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We know that diverse perspectives strengthen our policymaking and national security. Losing Representative Omar's voice on the committee to extremist politics would be a shameful mark on this body, harmful to the interests of the American people and our image abroad, and damage to democracy itself. I also know the sheer hypocrisy of Speaker McCarthy and members of his party looking to deny Representative Omar's seat on the Foreign Affairs Committee is rich. This resolution is not about addressing dishonor or respect for the House. This resolution is not about addressing anti-Semitism. If it were, there'd be other members named in this resolution. For example, on October 18th, on October of 2018, a Republican member tweeted, "We cannot allow Soros, Steyer, and Bloomberg to buy this election and get out the vote for Republicans November 6th, MAGA." That was the Speaker of the House. The tweet included a video featuring the member discussing George Soros, Tom Steyer, and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, all Jewish men who are significant donors of the Democratic campaigns and causes. Were these the only wealthy Democratic donors he could choose from? Jewish money buying elections is a stereotype about the Jewish faith popular among the alt-right. And I recall no apology, unlike Representative Omar, to or for this tweet. This is far from the only example of the hypocrisy. Representatives on the Republican side have defended and agreed with well-known white supremacist and anti-Semite Nick Fuentes and spoken at Fuentes events. Other Republican members have claimed the Zionist supremacists are conspiring to flood Europe and with migrants in order to replace the white populations there. My Republican colleagues have quoted Adolf Hitler in congressional remarks promoted the Great Replacement theory and invited a Holocaust denier to the State of the Union. And finally, when this Congress moved the House resolution condemning anti-Semitism, there was only one member that voted against it, and it wasn't a Democrat. So why is this member being targeted today? We don't have time to go through the entire list of objectionable remarks that the other side has made. The point is, none of these comments caused any of the members who made them to be removed from committees. Not removed from the Education and Labor Committee, not removed from the Judiciary Committee, not removed from the Armed Services Committee, not removed from the Homeland Security Committee. A blatant double standard is being applied here. Something just doesn't add up. And what is the difference between Rep. Omar and these members? Could it be the way that she looks?
Time is
Could
expired.
it be her religious practices? Could it be? 15 seconds. Because it's clear, if she were on the other side of the aisle, we would not be having this debate today. That is absolutely clear. The GOP was not outraged when Donald Trump broke bread with the anti-Semitic Holocaust deniers at his Florida mansion. There was no outrage when Donald Trump tweets deployed images of the Star of David and stacks of currency.
Gentleman's time is
We
expired.
need to vote no and stand up for democracy. And democracy means
Gentleman's time is expired.
Representative Omar needs to remain and be productive on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And I yield back the battle for my time.
Desperation. So desperate to distract the American people from their total inability to govern. The GOP is now doing what it is best at, weaponizing hate against a black, beautiful Muslim woman. Congresswoman Omar's lived experience as a refugee and a child of survivor of war should be welcomed on this committee. It is needed. When you can't pass any bills that actually improve the people's lives, they turn Congress into a place of fear-mongering hate. It is so painful to watch. How ironic that the so-called lovers of personal freedom are now moving to censor Congresswoman Omar in the same week they introduced a bill to ban federal employees from engaging in censorship. Where are the free speech warriors today? The hypocrisy is obvious to the American people. You are showing who you all are, really.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar will not be silenced.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Congresswoman Omar,
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
That our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong
The
in that
gentlewoman is no
committee.
longer recognized, and the gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I reserve.
Gentlewoman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
How much time do I have?
5¼ minutes.
I yield to the gentlewoman from Minnesota, Representative Omar, to close.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
This debate today, it's about who gets to be an American. What opinions do we have to have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first Black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident that former President Donald Trump led a birther movement that falsely claimed he was born in Kenya. Because to them, falsely labeling the first and only President of the United States of America a Muslim and African immigrant somehow made him less American. Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted? Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy, or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced? Frankly, it is expected, because when you push power, power pushes back. Representation matters. Continuing to expand our ideas of who is American and who can partake in the American experiment is a good thing. I am an American who was sent here an American who was sent here by her constituents to represent them in Congress, a refugee who survived the horrors of a civil war, someone who spent her childhood in a refugee camp, someone who knows what it means to have a shot at a better life here in the United States, and someone who believes in the American dream and the American possibility and the promise and the ability to participate in the democratic process. That is what this debate is about. There is an idea out there that I do not have objective decision-making because of who I am, where I come from, and my perspective. But I reject that. We say there is nothing objective about policymaking. We all inject our perspective, our point of views, our lived experiences, and the voices of our constituents. That's what democracy is about. So what is the work of the Foreign Affairs Committee? It is not to co-sign the stated foreign policy of whatever administration is in power. It's about oversight. It's to critique and to advocate for a better path forward. But most importantly, it is to make the myth that American foreign policy is intrinsically moral a reality. So I will continue to speak up because representation matters. I will continue to speak up for little kids who wonder who's speaking up for them. I will continue to speak up for families around the world who are seeking justice, whether they are displaced in refugee camps or they are hiding under their beds somewhere like I was, waiting for the bullets to stop. Because this child, survivor of war, would have wanted that. The 9-year-old me would be disappointed if I didn't talk about the victims of conflict, those that are experiencing unjust wars, atrocities, ethnic cleansing, occupation, or displacement like I did. They are looking to the international community and the United States, asking for help. They look to us because the international community and the United States profess the values of protecting human rights and upholding international law. So we owe it to them not to make this a myth, but a reality. I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote or not. I am here to stay, and I am here to be a voice against harms around the world and advocate for a better world. I yield back.